Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. I'm just turning down my mic because I've got YouTube open and that's giving me the awesome Chasing Green Arrows intro music. Hello to regular co-host on a Wednesday afternoon. We're going a few hours early this morning. Thank you for being so flexible, Big Man Backer. How are you, mate?
I'm good, Gianni. How are you doing? Hello and welcome to all the listeners and viewers.
Yeah, I mean, it's Wildcard week. It's always a good week. I guess
Is it a good week? Let me hold you over there. Is it a good week? I think it's more stressful than usual.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been building to a 6 wildcard for a while, right? So I've kind of always had at the back of my head what my structure will look like, who the key cogs are. And when I built my team on Sunday, and I look at my team now, and I look at the team I think I'll end up with on Friday night or Saturday, I think 6, 7 of the core players aren't changing. For me, it's just the enablers. It's just kind of player 8, 9, 10, 11 in my team, like your 5.5, 6 million forwards or mids, or maybe a budget defenders. They're the decisions I'm still not 100% set on. But in today's show, I'm going to run through who's locked in my team and who's not. I'll show you a draft. Big Man's going to run through all his big questions, but also the players locked in his team. So it's really going to be a fascinating hour. But yeah, I mean, where's your head at, Big Man?
Yeah, I mean, Gianni, I must admit, when I sort of when I penciled in a wildcard window initially, I didn't think that picking a wildcard team was going to be tough. But the more I think about it, I'm sort of going round and round in circles because there are a lot of big questions for us to answer. And I don't think picking a wildcard this week is straightforward at all. I have close to 6, 7 players who are locked, but they're the obvious ones. It's the other 7 or 8 players which are going to make the difference, which will be the differentials as compared to everyone else. And I'm struggling to pick them. See, so picking the wildcard team this week is not obvious at all. I'm finding it really challenging.
I've got a few players locked to a bit of differential as well. We'll get to them later, but I've got 3 Man City players all locked in my team. I'm so happy.
Let me guess. Savinho, Haaland, and Lewis.
Yeah, they're locked.
Yeah,
they're not going anywhere. They're 100% in my team. 100%.
Am I right?
Unless we get a team leak on Saturday morning because one of them's not starting. But yeah, they're in. They're in. And that was before yesterday's game. And then yesterday I saw Savinho was benched. He came on at halftime, I think, for Doku. But again, that was great to see. Gianni is blocked from Foden. Yeah, I'm not going Foden just yet. It feels too soon on Foden. A week or two too early. But yeah, Big Man. I mean, look, should we start with the fixtures? Then let's move to the big questions. And then let's see our teams. I think that's probably the best order, right?
Let's start with the locked-in players, I think.
Go on.
Because then we can sort of we can talk about them one by one, and then we can give our reasons for our selections. So, who are your locked-in players apart from these 3? I'll let you do the honors.
Do you know what? I'm gonna just load on my phone because I don't want to show my team yet, and I've got
mine
my
is
team
showing in front of you.
Let's do yours then. Let's do yours. Saka, yes, I've also got. And Burmo locked, Gabriel locked, Rodgers locked, Haaland locked. For me, I've got Raya locked, and I don't have Eze or Bruno. So
you're basically
that list is similar. I also have Rico Lewis locked, Savio locked, and that's it.
Yeah. So apart from, we're the same on the first 6. You're not picking Eze or Bruno. That's where we're different. And then you will have Savinho. And you will have Rico Lewis. I think I might have Rico Lewis myself. I actually really like the pick. I won't call him locked in my team, but he's one I think who is more likely to make my team than not. So I think I'm going to end up on Rico Lewis as well. I think I'm still not sure between Raya Saliba, to be very honest. I'm not actually, because it does depend on the structure, right?
Oh, because Trent isn't locked for you. I've also got Trent locked.
I'm likely to go with Trent, but he's not locked. I mean,
that's partly why the Raya Saliba question is still outstanding, because there's no way you're going to have Trent, Gabriel, and Saliba, is there?
No, I might.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you go Trent, you're more likely to go Raya.
No, not necessarily, because I can then go Flecken in goal and pick the other 2. Because Rico Lewis is so cheap. I mean, I can use Rico Lewis as my 4th. I'm not necessarily using him as my 3rd.
Okay, interesting. So Rico Lewis is my 3rd.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind going him as a third, but he's also all right as a fourth because
Yeah.
if you pick him as a fourth, you sort of get the flexibility to play him over an attacker. Let's say when Semenyo's fixtures turn, or when
Mhm.
let's say Wood's fixtures are bad, something like that. So it just adds
Yeah.
more robustness to the squad.
Yeah, I
So
like that.
yeah,
And if you do
it's
have
good.
Rico Lewis as a third defender, like me, you do need to have a good fourth defender. You need to have a good. I've got Aina, for example, or Aina, however you
Are
prefer
you
to.
convinced he's gonna play every game?
Huh?
Are you convinced that he's going to play every game?
Yeah, yeah. Aina, you'll see Nico Williams play some and Moreno play some, but even when Moreno, Aina can play either side. He's played left back and right back. He's the first choice fullback at the football club for me. Nailed.
I was considering Alex Moreno before he got subbed at the
Me too.
weekend at
4.4
halftime,
million. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad we sort of got some clarity because I think if I'm picking Lewis, I have to ensure that the rest of the defense is absolute bulletproof. I
You could go
cannot go with a
Murillo.
defender. I don't want a defender who gets rotated. Yeah, Murillo's fine as well,
I think
but
Aina's absolutely nailed though, mate. Like, there's not a question in my head about him until you just mentioned it. Like,
yeah,
I'd be worried
that's fine then.
on Moreno, but not on Aina.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine then. But my point being that with Lewis, I want to sort of be bulletproof. I don't really want
Yeah.
to have too many risky defenders with him. Um, the thing with Saliba Raya is Raya sets me up better for the long term, and I assume it's obviously ideal to have a Arsenal keeper and set and forget him for the long term. But on the other hand, if you sort of start with Saliba, then he sort of allows an easy route to Porro later. So that's sort of at the back of my mind because I want
Okay.
Porro from game week 8 for sure. I
Do
want
you?
Porro from game week 8. Yeah. I might even have him on a wild card this week
Wow.
just so
I've
that
not
I
even
don't have
looked
to
at
make that
Porro.
transfer later. Yeah, I have. But even if I get him this week, I won't play him till game week 6, till game week 8. I'll just hide
Yeah.
him in game week 6 and 7. I'll bench him. So the point is, I want to have Porro by game week 8. How I facilitate that is going to be critical to my thinking. And I can have Saliba because he can then allow an easier route to Porro later. And if I pick Raya, then I want to have a way where I can fit Porro in without having to sell Gabriel because I don't want to sell Gabriel. I think he's a season keeper. But I
Yeah.
don't really feel the same way about Saliba as such.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. I'm. Interesting. Right. Nice. I
Have
like
you
that.
looked? Have you looked at a route for Porro in game week 8 in your team?
No.
I think
No,
that
I
is
haven't.
very
I've just.
necessary
I'm
because
looking at his fixtures now, and I look at it and
they're
go,
really good.
I'm okay from 8 not having him, but from 11, the entry point at 11 is maybe even better because 8, yes, he has West Ham at home, Palace away, I think is difficult, and then Villa at home is difficult. 8, 9, and 10, I don't think is a great run, but from 11, it's Ipswich at home. Sure, he then plays Man City, but then he's got Fulham at home. So Ipswich and Fulham at home, and then Bournemouth away. He's got Southampton away in 16. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just not as hot on Porro as you. Like, I've not had Porro all season, remember, and you obviously had him since game week 1.
Yeah, and I was actually scared about going against them this week as well. What has surprised me with Spurs is that their defensive data, I know it's just been 5 weeks, isn't all that bad. I expected it to be bad, but it's actually been much better than what I expected. They're, I think, fourth or fifth for expected goals conceded.
Yeah.
And they've done reasonably all right. Porro's top for shots among defenders. And I mean, all you need is one good game, one good haul from him, and that's all you need. I mean, even if he blanks in like 2, 3 fixtures, it's fine. He's going to make up for it in 1 week alone. And I think West Ham at home, Crystal Palace away is not that bad of a spell. If I'm buying him in 11, I might as well get him in 8, is what I'm thinking. But even if you're sort of getting him in 11, you still have to have a route to him, right? So I can sort of assure you that anyone who's wildcarding in 8 will have Porro on his team for sure. I think people who are wildcarding in 8 will triple up on Spurs. I do.
Yeah, probably. I just don't think many will be wildcarding in 8. I agree it's a good window, but
I mean, anyone who's not wildcarding this week and still has a wildcard in hand, I think they will wildcard in 8 because
but
in
that's
8
a very
the teams will
small
look
pool.
a bit different.
Anyone who's not wildcarding this week has already wildcarded.
Yeah, but I mean,
think.
I'm referring to
Let's
the
do a
people who
poll.
haven't. It's a minority, I agree,
reckon
but
it's
still.
probably 5%. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong there, but it feels like if you haven't wildcarded already, you're wildcarding this week. But yeah, 8 has a good fixture swing. You're right. Solanke, Porro, maybe Madison by then. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, like us, so we're gonna have triple Arsenal for sure. I think people who wildcard in 8 will have triple Spurs, maybe 1 or 2 United as well, because
And one
United fixtures
Arsenal
are good from
defender.
that point as well. and they'll have one Arsenal defender at best. They won't have double, and they won't have Saka either. I don't think they'll have Saka, right? So I sort of want to ensure that my team is not only good enough for the next two fixtures, but for the weeks coming ahead, and I want to have an entry route into the players that will be critical in that spell.
Yeah, it's smart management, man. Like as always, like you're looking well ahead. Are you on Wildcard? Yes, no, already done it. Yeah, okay. Get voting, guys. Yeah, the problem is all those no's, loads of them have already done it, and you've hit no before already done it. I think let me change the category to option 1 is wildcarded already. Option 2 is game week 6 wildcard. And option 3 is game week 7 plus wildcard. I think if we write it differently, the vote's going to be very differently. Just because people have hit no straight away, and there's no way 30% have still got it after game week 6. Unless, well, let's see. We'll put. I've put it in our private chat so we can get that on screen. Guys, we will run through next some fixtures just to look at the teams we want to target. We've gone through some lot players. We're still going to show you my team. We're still going to show you some of the Bigman's biggest questions. Game week 12 is going to be popular. Yeah, you're right, CH. 8 and 12 are the two other windows. So, okay, Big Man, talk us through this because we've done this is from, I think, FPL Prem Tipster, but this is the next 6 weeks. And Everton, Brentford right at the top. Are you likely to pick any Everton players? Because I like Calvert-Lewin, I like McNeil, I like Mikolenko at 4.3. But at the moment, I don't have a single Everton player in my draft.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, actually. I could have one, I could have two, I could have none. It's basically one of those where they're all right to own, but I don't think any of them is essential. Mikolenko at 4.3 isn't bad, by the way. I think 4.3 is very appealing, and you could potentially even end up picking him over Aina, for example, because I don't think there's much between them, and Mikolenko's 1.2 million cheaper if you need the funds elsewhere. Something like that, right? And the fixtures are fine. I think he'll play most games. I can see Ashley Young getting maybe the odd game here or there, but Mikolenko will play most of the season as long as he's fit, which he's expected to be. Calvert-Lewin is nice, though. I mean, Calvert-Lewin is one which I was fairly hot on last week, and I'm still am. He's on penalties, and the fixtures are nice. But I'm sort of curious to hear why your opinion has changed, because you were equally hot on him last week, but now you don't have him in your team.
Oh, you're going to see my team later, but I'm 0.1 short. I've got 5.9 to spend on a forward, and that means I can't get Calvert-Lewin.
Mate,
and
Aina to Mikolenko.
I'm going double. I'm not. Oh, I don't know. I don't love Mikolenko. I like McNeil and I like Calvert-Lewin. And yeah, maybe Aina to a 4.4 is needed, but I'm not sure that's a 4.3 Mikolenko. And do you know why the reason I'm 0.1 short? I didn't bring in Gabriel on Sunday night. I didn't see the rise come in after his goal. So I've now got Gabriel at 6.1 instead of 6. And I didn't bring in Luis Diaz because I didn't know he was going to get 2 rises. So I've got Diaz now. If he gets 3 rises, I make 0.1. So I'm losing 0.2 from pure negligence.
Gianni, the next point I was going to come to is that, the draft that I will have, and I assume that you will have as well, they won't have high team value because my team value has been decimated by keeping Konsa for 6
and Bruno.
weeks. And you were and Bruno, right? Bruno maybe not so much because I might still be idiotic enough to pick him again on the wild card, but Konsa is the big one, right? Because he's been completely dead wood. And you've had Konsa for a while as well, and these other sort of price swings that you mentioned, we're sort of picking teams which aren't exactly optimal. We have to sort of make a compromise here or there simply because of the price swings, right? So, for example, I would think that for example, someone with a very good team value may choose to prefer Guardiola over Lewis, for example, for the security of starts. But as much as I would like to, I don't think I might do it because I'll be short of cash.
Yeah. Welcome, by the way, to Anas Sanai. Thank you for coming a premium chaser. If you want to check out our memberships, they're all at the bottom of the screen. And thank you all for your likes and subscribes. I think we've only got about 20 likes, though. So if you fancy hitting those buttons, you're all hitting the button in the poll, but perhaps not on the bottom of the screen on that like and subscribe button. I'm wrong, by the way, on the game week 7 wildcard onwards. There is a big window of people that will still have their wild card, big man. So I apologise there. 25%. The YouTube audience is different to the Twitter audience, which is what I'm learning slowly, because there's no way 25% of FPL Twitter would still have their wildcard in hand after this game week. I did a poll like this on Twitter, and I think it's about 10%. But look, 25% of the YouTubers, YouTube audience, will still have their wildcard game week 7 onwards. Casey says he thinks Watkins is likely to get more chances than DCL. Absolutely, but you can't compare Watkins and DCL. They're two very different price points. Yeah, very different price points.
Speaking of Watkins, he scored again, Gianni. Congratulations to you. He did
he's
well.
In my team.
Oh, he's in your team at the moment, the wildcard team.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a huge surprise. I did not see that coming.
He's been in both my drafts. I've done a draft on Sunday. I'm dropping a draft this afternoon, which we're going to see. And then there'll be a Friday draft. I always try and do 3 teams and not too many drafts. And I can't sell him, mate. He's got Ipswich next. He's off the back of an 8-day rest before Ipswich.
I think your thinking with Watkins is kind of similar to mine. Konza was an absolute hero for me this week. Konza this week was an absolute hero for me. Got me 10 points. And I don't really want to sell him because he served me well. So I think you're similar because Watkins has done well for you. And now you're sort of having second thoughts about removing him. I won't even consider him on a wildcard personally because I just don't think he's going to be good value at that price. I think if you're picking an expensive forward, you go Solanke. I just think he's better value. I just think he's much better value.
There's a big argument to go Solanke or Jackson instead of Watkins, I think. I like Jackson too. But Ollie Watkins has got Ipswich and then Man United, then Fulham, then Bournemouth. Those 4 fixtures are green, in my opinion. They're not bright. They're not dark green. They're like that. It's a really good run of 4. And then I can move to Solanke.
I agree, but when you're comparing him with the other forwards, so if you compare him with someone like a Solanke or even DCL, I mean, Calvert-Lewin has Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Ipswich, Fulham the next 4. Wood has Fulham, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Leicester, West Ham, Newcastle the next 6. So these guys can match Watkins for 3 million less. Yeah, even more than that actually. So I have not even considered Ollie Watkins for a second in my draft.
I still want Calvert-Lewin. The problem is if I get Calvert-Lewin, he's going to be on my bet. He's going to be my attacker number 8 anyway. That forward slot is like to be my 8th attack for the next 2 because I've got Semenyo. And Semenyo is obviously going to start in 6 and 7, and then I'll bench Semenyo in 8, 9, 10. So what I'm looking for is that forward spot to be someone who I can bench in 6 and 7 and then play in 8, 9, and 10. And actually, Calvert-Lewin is perfect for that because you could still bench him. It's not ideal, but he's got good fixtures in 8, 9, and 10. But there is another forward out there who's 5.4. Plays for Everton as well. He's a midfielder, but he's very good. And his name's Undai. And I like Undai as a 5.4 option. Less money on the bench. Can still play him in 8, 9, and 10.
I mean, if you're looking at enablers, rogue enablers, you can go Carvalho or you can go Dibbling from Southampton.
Yeah,
right. These guys have emerged as well. 4.5 mil. I'm still not convinced about
midfielders. I need a forward, and Undai's a forward.
You need a forward, right? Yeah, you need a forward, exactly. So that's what makes it tricky. Anyway, I mean, I've personally not considered Watkins. I'm looking more towards Wood, Calvert-Lewin. João Pedro, if he was fit, I would have considered him as well. I think I might have had him in my team. I still think he's going to be great value.
Yep.
But I don't think he will be fit with the rumors that we're hearing that he was leaving on crutches, etc. So looks a bit dodgy at the moment. So currently he's not made any of my drafts simply because of his injury. So the ones I'm considering realistically to go along with Haaland are Wood, Calvert-Lewin, and Solanke. So I'm going to pick 2 of these 3. Which ones I go, I'm not sure, but I really like Solanke, but I'm sort of struggling to see past the value that these 2 cheaper forwards are offering.
Yeah, I really am. I completely get the love for Calvert-Lewin. He'd be in my team. I'm not hot on Chris Wood. I don't love the fixtures. I don't love the fact that Forest don't seem to. He's just not a player that passes the eye test ever. Chris Wood is not a good footballer, but he will score goals and he is on penalties now. We know that. And he is getting the minutes. The risk isn't there. So I get why you would pick him at that price point, but he's just not a me pick. I can't see me going there.
Yeah, I get it. He's not the most sexy or fashionable pick. I get it. But he's on penalties now. So that's something which adds to his appeal, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. DK says Ndai is great, but he's on left wing. Absolutely. I'm fully aware he's not playing as a forward, and he's listed as one. Jimenez, we haven't spoken about Jimenez. I mean, he's never going to get 90, but 60, 70 minutes for a good Fulham attack. Fixtures are middling, lower half to middling. Yeah.
I have not considered any Fulham on my wildcard for a second. I just don't like the fixtures as much, and um, there's always that risk with Muniz coming back in or the early subs. So yeah, not even Smith Rowe for me. I think there are others like Semenyo, for example. I like more McNeil that you mentioned. They're better picks. Son on a wild card? I don't think so. I think if you're going someone along with Haaland and Saka, it's probably got to be Palmer over Son.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Son's just not doing it for me at the moment. Any other sort of big calls in terms of fixture swings or teams to target here, big man?
In terms of fixture swings, teams to target, not really. I think Everton, Brentford, Arsenal are the big ones mainly. When you look at it from a short-term perspective, Bournemouth, Southampton, Leicester, next two are really good, and that's mainly the carrot for people picking some menu. But apart from that, I think these are the main teams to target, and I assume a vast majority of people not on wildcard will be targeting players like Mbemo, Arsenal defenders, Saka as well this week. So I suspect Gabriel, Saka, and Mbemo to be the most popular players transferred in this week.
Do we like Brentford defence, big man? Because they've got two good 4.5 million options, but they've also got a 4 million option who we think will start. Well, we know will start every time they play a back five, but when they play a back four, Vandenberg could be the one to drop out. But I think I'm willing to take that punt because I don't want to. I want a 4 million defender, and yes, Greaves is nailed, but I think if you go Vandenberg, you just get a much better level player for a better team. What's your take there?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, addressing a listener's question which just came up, which was asking any Chelsea worth considering apart from Palmer Jackson. I think Colville is probably the only one while we're talking about defenders. I think he's the nail defender and he's 4.5, so he could be worth considering.
Yeah.
Coming to your question, Gianni, I think Vandenberg is good. They bought him for a high fee, so there's a good chance that he keeps on playing. But I'm still not convinced whether he's going to play Brentford shift formation and move to four at the back. In which case they will probably have Pinnock and Collins as their centre backs. Collins is playing really, really well, so I don't think Collins will drop out of the team. So I'm not considering Vandenberg at all. I mean, I just want nail players in my team. I don't want to risk having anyone who's going to be deadwood in a couple of weeks' time.
I've got Vandenberg in mind.
Like generally, I like the idea of going Flecken if you're picking a Brentford defender.
Yeah.
More than picking, let's say, a Pinnock or a Collins. I like Flecken for the saves, basically. So especially people who don't have the funds for, let's say, Raya, they can go Flecken. I think he's the best 4.5 million keeper. He's made the highest number of saves already this season. He's comfortably top. And Brentford are actually sitting second for most shots conceded outside the box, which is what helps him really, because they're conceding shots from distance, allowing him to make easier saves. And the fixtures now are probably good enough for him to get a few clean sheets and rack up some save points as well.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. I do think Brentford might stay with that similar shape. And when you look at the average position, when you see the formation, you go, it's a back five. I was looking at the average positions of Brentford at the weekend against Liverpool. And actually, Collins, if you look at it, looks like he's playing left back. And Pinnock is left centre back. And Vandenberg is kind of right centre back. And it looks like a back four because Lewis Potter is so high on the left-hand side. He's like a winger, but he's actually a left wing back. So everyone just moves over when he bombs on. And I think that formation on the ball is quite often, yes, on paper it's a back five, but it actually is a four in possession. And therefore, Vandenberg is one of two centre-backs and nailed. Let's see if he is. But it was really interesting there because it's working. And Lewis Potter, 5 million mid, by the way, is bombing on. And actually, this could keep someone like Kevin Schade out the team because you saw Mbemo as the number 9. You saw Carvalho starting instead of Schade, who came on. And it's an interesting dynamic.
Any interest in Schade or Carvalho?
I just feel like they're going to rotate now. If I'd seen Schade start at the weekend, I planned this wildcard would be a Schade team. 5.4, thought it'd be in my team. But seeing Carvalho play well in the cup before Liverpool and then get the start versus Liverpool, I'm just not sure I want that minutes headache.
I'm similar. I agree.
Yeah. But I do think, having looked into their average positions, Vandenberg is more nailed than we think. And again, surely a club like Brentford don't spend 25 million on a centre-back not to play him in any system. But let's see. If he's playing well, maybe he keeps the spot. Let's go to your big questions then, big man, and address them one by one. I've seen Evan Nilsson mentioned in the chat. We'll get to him later.
He's not a bad pick.
He might feature in my draft. Spoiler alert. Big questions for Wildcarders this week. Let's go through them one by one. Big question number one is... Trent or no Trent? How likely are you to have Trent? I'm 100% locked.
I'm not 100% locked on Trent, actually. I think it's 60-40 in his favor. I think it's more likely that I pick him as opposed to not. But it's 60-40 because, as mentioned earlier, because of the inferior team value, because of Kwanzaa, I will have to make one or two sacrifices in the team. And this is a position I've looked at because Liverpool's fixtures aren't exactly amazing from this point. They're all right, but they're not like wow fixtures like they were when at the start of the season before game week 1. Mm-hmm. But now they're all right. Having said that, why I still sort of want to pick him is because he's still the highest among defenders for XGI, and there's a good chance that in a few weeks' time I might want him. So I'm sort of looking at him from a long-term perspective. Liverpool's defensive rate has been really good as well this season, actually. So that's another reason to sort of include him in the team. The only reason not to pick him is not because he's a bad pick. It's just because I might sort of prioritize other areas in my team for funds. Is he much better than Robertson for an extra 1.1 million? It's an interesting question. What are your thoughts on Robertson? I mean, I've looked at Robertson. I've had him in my initial wildcard team, but now I don't really like the idea of sort of picking him over the long run because I'm still sort of considering with the Champions League around, he might get the odd rest here or there. That's the issue. I think if I'm picking a 6 million defender, I would rather go with Guardiola. That's the conclusion I'm coming to.
Yeah, look, there's players in this team who you think are absolute now, but I think the trip to Milan showed us Luis Diaz didn't start, Gakpo did, Robertson didn't start, Tsimikas did. Now look, Diaz and Robertson are going to play the vast majority of games, but they're not bulletproof. And the bulletproof players at Liverpool, Mo Salah, the only one in the front three that is. Trent looks like he is. Van Dijk is. And the likes of McAllister, and probably Szoboszlai, the non-FPL assets. But no, Robertson's a little bit risky in terms of he will be rotated once or twice. And he's a good player, and he's going to get loads of clean sheets, but he doesn't offer Trent's upside. And the set pieces there, I don't think he's sharing them, as we've seen in years gone by with Trent. So, yeah, you pick. For me, I'm nailed on Trent, but I get there's very good managers out there that are considering not having him. Big man, you're one. I was talking to Holly Shan the other day. Holly, we did a podcast together on a Sunday. Go check it out, FPL Green Room. We revealed our teams, and I was like, "Where's Trent, Holly?" She's like, "No, not picking Trent. Not got space for him. He's too much." So, and I respect that opinion very, very much. So, yeah, it's not a foregone conclusion with the fixtures in mind that Trent will be in everyone's team. Hello, by the way, to new member James Wishart. Thank you so much for becoming a member.
Thank you.
You're going to get some exclusive videos. I know Dean has dropped one for you guys, and you'll be in a WhatsApp group with Dean. I think Dean's dropped a video today, which you guys will be able to watch on Wildcard. So hello to you. And hello, FPL Welly from Australia. Guys, if you are watching for the first time, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We don't make the chat subscriber only, but we might be about to do that soon because we want to make sure you guys are all hitting that subscribe button because I know so many forget to do so. So let's move on away from Trent. We should maybe just do a poll. Trent or no Trent on Wildcard. We'll involve you in all these questions, guys. So Trent or no Trent for Game Week 6 Wildcards? Yes or no? I'm keen to see your response there. We'll move on when you're answering that question to the next question.
The next question is...
Oh, the suspense is killing me.
Yeah, Wood versus João Pedro versus Calvert-Lewin plus Solanke. Yeah, this is one I'm struggling to answer, especially if João Pedro is fit. That would make it really, really tricky. Currently, I'm running with the assumption that he's not, right? So in which case, I think currently I'm leaning towards Wood and Calvert-Lewin simply because they're cheaper than Solanke. And they allow for the other upgrades in defense and attack. So for example, if I pick Wood and DCL, then I can easily pick Trent. So all of these questions are actually interlinked, right? It's not one or the other. They're all interlinked together. So that's the way I'm leaning. I would like to know your thoughts. Do you think Solanke is clear of Ford and Calvert-Lewin?
For me, I think his fixtures are better. I think he's been playing arguably. Yes, the data's there as it is for Chris Wood, but when you watch games, you go, Solanke's a nuisance. He's so involved. Sean Dyche teams don't score many, but neither do Nuno teams. But in the last 2 game weeks or 3 game weeks, I think they've scored 5 goals. Everton, they've hit the woodwork a few times. They're looking a little bit more dynamic in attack. I like Solanke. I just don't like the entry point. I get it from game week 8, certainly from 11. But I'm okay not going Solanke for the next couple. He did clock 1.61 XG at the weekend, Solanke, is worth noting. Did you see that? He got a goal, but he got 1.61 XG. You know, he's missing big chances.
He missed 3 big chances, to be exact. I was just checking his numbers. He's missed 3 big chances. And I do think he's going to outscore Wooden DCL by quite a bit at the end of the season. But just at this point in time, I'm still not sure as to whether he's worth the premium over them. But I think he's a fantastic pick overall. I would have bought him in last week had Isak not been in the squad. He was my pick to bring in. But once we heard the news that Isak is in the squad, I didn't go ahead with the idea. But now it means that I have 1 free transfer rolled into this week. So that's fine, I guess.
DK makes a good point. With Ndai, McNeil as the number 10 and Lindstrom, it's a new look attack. And Lindstrom played really well. He's technically very good. I think that frontline attack is now a bit undroppable behind DCL. I don't think the likes of Jack Harrison are going to get in. And I like that dynamic with Ndai, McNeil and Lindstrom and the way they're playing. So, yeah, I'm happy. I'd be very happy with DCL. There are other names to mention. Evan Nilsson we'll speak about later. You could consider Jackson if you're spending Solanke money. I think Jackson is a perfectly legit option. I guess the big question for me, big man, is your third forward likely to be your 7th or your 8th attacker?
It's tricky because it depends on how much you value Rodgers, right? Because Rodgers is going to be nailed in our teams, right? Yeah. So it depends on whether you look at Rodgers as a perma player or whether you don't.
Right. I'm not exactly I look at Rodgers as a perma play for the next 4 anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine playing him. I'm fine benching him. I'm currently in that sort of mind state where I don't really know which way I'm sort of leaning as to who my 8th attacker would be. I'm just happy to be flexible depending on form every week, especially if I pick Wood, DCL, Semenyo, and Rodgers. They actually rotate well every week. So I won't have this decision to make. So, for example, from game week 8 to 10, Semenyo will be the 8th attacker because his fixture will be poor. But in 6 and 7, Wood will be the 8th attacker because he's playing Chelsea away. It's this week which will be very tricky because all of them have good fixtures, and in which case I might bench Rodgers. But that's what makes it really tricky.
If you can only pick one, guys, get voting in the poll. I reckon friends of the show, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, as Dean went there game week 1, might be popular. Oh, and he is. Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Solanke both topping it to date. Let's have a look at the next question. We're going to rattle through these guys. We've got loads to get through. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, do let us know and show your support by hitting the buttons. You know what buttons they are. Raya or Saliba, I'm locked on Raya. You're probably more 50-50 on this one, big man, because you make a good point on Flecken. Yeah. You're going to get save points. You get security at the back with a Saliba Gabriel partnership. And there's also a point over Raya that, yes, he's been clocking the bonus points, and we like that. But will that continue? He's been getting the bonus because he's been playing against, he's been keeping clean sheets, but he's also been getting the saves. Arsenal don't tend to concede too many shots, and at the start of the season, they have been. At some point, that's going to drop off, isn't it?
It was because of the fixtures, right? They were playing good attacking teams. It's not going to happen now from this point in. I get the argument both ways. Having a Saliba allows an easy route to Porro, for example. Having Raya is a good sort of set and forget strategy. That's the way I'm looking at it. And had I had more, let's say, funds or more team value to play with, I think I would have probably gone with the Raya draft. I still might. I'm not sure. I'm currently very, very 50-50 on this one. So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here.
Yeah, okay. We've got a super chat. Over to you, big man. I'll let you give your take on this.
Yeah, thanks, Harrison, for the question. Would you wildcard if you had this team? Henderson, Trent, Gabriel, Robinson, Eze, Roger, Salah, ESR, Wood, Haaland, Wood, TCL. I would be curious to look at the bench as well, but I don't think I would actually because this team looks good and has most of the key players covered. So you have Gabriel, you have Trent, Ez is still fine, Rogers is fine, Salah is still all right. Uh, Haaland, Wood, DCL are obviously fine. Yeah, I don't think I would actually. Depends really. If on depends on the bench and depends if you have a spare transfer.
Yeah, it's funny. The benches are actually a reason why so many are hitting the button without a second thought. Me and Bigman straight away were like, no, we need to build that squad again. But if your bench is in a good place, Harrison, you got a free transfer or two, you're probably in a very good shape, and you can consider, still adding an Arsenal player or two to your team. But yeah, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's move on away from Ryan Sleeper to our next big question. We're going to find out more tonight about Arsenal players' fitness. There is an injury at Arsenal. We don't know who it is. We'll find out tonight because Arsenal play in the cup.
We're guessing it's Calafiori because he was the one who signaled to the bench in the previous game against City.
Yeah, I wondered if that was cramp though, but I don't know. Yeah, and he is sick now, Calafiori. Timber also had an issue, but we also saw Raya limping, didn't we?
Yeah, double Arsenal defense or attack. Now, this is a question for you to answer because you were extremely hot on Saka and Havertz a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, do you know what
seem to have cooled off?
Kills this one is Odegaard. Like the debate was there when Arsenal's attack is all fit and they're functioning well, and Odegaard really does make that attack tick. Like whether we like Odegaard in FPL or not is a different matter. Ask Arsenal fans the impact Odegaard has on that final third passing and the final third creativity, and he's their key cog. He's their heartbeat. And Odegaard out means, one, Arsenal won't score as many goals or create as much. But two, it could mean Havertz is asked to even fill in some of those spaces at times. And we see Gabby Jesus playing number 9. Or we see Sterling getting more minutes or Trossard playing there. And the double attack was all about Saka and Havertz, right? And if Havertz is at times going to play deeper, then yeah. It's a non-starter. What I would say is, this question now is possibly double Arsenal defence or not. I don't think it's... You could say, is it 2 or 3 Arsenal players in your team? Is it 2 Arsenal? Is it 1 Arsenal defender and Saka? Is it 2 Arsenal defenders, or is it
3 Arsenal defenders?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if the triple up is absolutely needed for wildcarders. We're all going there, and I think it's the right play, but I wouldn't say it's 100% locked.
I mean, you can debate it, but for me, I think I'm picking Saka for sure. I think he's going to be my captain this week.
Do you? I was going to say, if you don't go Saka, you can go Salah. So you could go double Arsenal defence and Mo Salah.
I am willing to take the captaincy on with Haaland this week. I just think the Arsenal fixture is that good.
Love that.
I think the Arsenal fixture is that good that you can actually potentially take it on. They're projected to score the highest number of goals and absolutely smash Leicester. I expect that to be the case as well. While Haaland is a machine and while I expect him to do well, I still think that you can sort of mitigate the risk by at least owning him. So even if Haaland goes mental, you still own him, right? It won't be a heavy loss. But Saka's effective ownership is going to be relatively low when you compare it with Haaland. So if Saka does well, there are bigger gains to be made.
Yeah, okay. I like that. Man, I'm surprised about your captaincy opinion. Let's just poll that. Haaland versus Saka versus other for captaincy. Saka clearly is the best fixture. Look, some might look at Ollie Watkins versus Ipswich. Some might go Mo Salah versus Wolves. But Erling Haaland is going to be one for the masses. And also, do you not look at how Newcastle have been defending of late, big man, and think, the haul is there. The haul potential is still there. I get the fact owning him, counters it a little bit.
Yeah, but then you can argue the same about Leicester defending, right? It's equally good, right?
Yeah.
So it works both ways.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
Are you considering it, Gianni?
Saka, no.
Are you 100% set on a Haaland captain?
100% might be strong. I'm on Haaland captain, and I'm very likely to go there. I've still got Watkins in the back of my mind.
Man, you're married to the idea of owning and captaining Watkins.
Honestly, it's such an emotional pick. I don't think I'll go Saka, and I think I'm on Haaland. I must admit,
I mean,
in a wildcard week, we often don't give captaincy enough thought, and I haven't given it a huge amount of thought yet.
I was thinking to myself that you must receive similar comments about Watkins that I do about Bruno, but Watkins has actually done well, so he's kind of vindicated the pick. But Bruno, every single time I post about Bruno or speak about him, I get like hundreds of comments in my tweets, obliterating that selection. And
I got similar with Watkins when I first moved there, because I bought him in game week 3 off the back of 2 terrible blanks where he kept missing all the chances. Yeah. You'll remember. Yeah. And I bought him in for a hit. Oh, look at that subscribe button. Love that.
Beautiful.
There we go. So yeah, I had Ollie Watkins in for a hit and got absolutely slaughtered for it. But I mean, the move it's very, very few of my moves have paid off this season. And that was one that certainly has. So I was happy with that. But look, fair play, big man. You're going against the crowd there, and why not? If you back him, you back him. So look, let's move on, because we're going to get to Bruno and Eze in a second. So next question.
The next question is, which cheap defenders?
I'm on.
Now, I think a lot of people are.
And Vandenberg are my two.
I think Lewis counts as a cheap defender as well, actually.
True say.
He does. He does. Yeah. I mean, there's not much difference between a 4.5 million defender and Lewis. Why are you not considering him as a cheap defender? That's one of the reasons why I'm actually tempted to go for him. That if I, let's say, hypothetically, if I end up, picking, let's say, a Dunk or a Pinnock or Konsa, I mean, they're all right options. I'm not going to lose sleep over any of them scoring in any fixture, for example. But if I don't pick Lewis and he starts the next few games like I expect him to, and if he performs really well, then I will hate myself for not picking him on wildcard. So currently I'm looking and leaning towards fitting him in, because I do see him as a really explosive option. He's actually top 4 penalty area touches among defenders so far. He's really, really attacking.
Yeah, fair. I hear you there. Anyone else, like Man United, Chelsea?
Not necessarily. Caldwell is all right, I guess. I still think it's too early for a United defender.
Same.
James is asking, with Rodri out, how will that affect Rico? It will likely affect the City defense, but at 4.7 million, expectations have to be realistic, right?
He stepped into midfield a lot last night, but he did play right back. Kyle Walker played centre back. Rico Lewis stepped into midfield. His average position map was great, but he was an inverted right back. Stones could play the role. Kovacic could play the role. The responsibility on Rico Lewis being on the pitch, however, knowing he can invert like no other in terms of the fullbacks, I think his minutes go up with the Rodri injury. Don't go near Michael Keane, Abby. Michael Keane is not going to be in this team for long. Branthwaite
and Branthwaite has been training.
Yeah.
Branthwaite has been training with the under-21s as well, so he'll be back anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, Mikolenko, do we feel like he's nailed, big man? Like, he is the first choice left back. Do you feel like he's a bad game or two away from being dropped? Like, they have got other options at fullbacks, mainly right backs, like Patson, Coleman, but Ashley Young. And what's your take with Mikolenko?
I think he could miss the odd game because of rotation in a congested period, but I think he's secure for starts. I would expect him to play, let's say, 90% of the games he's fit for, which is fairly good for his price.
Yeah. Let's move on from cheap defenders, because we want to have enough time for questions in my team. Come on, then. You're going to pick one of these two. We saw it in your lot list.
I'm going to pick one of these two, and I'm not sure which one, but currently I'm leaning towards picking Bruno, which sounds idiotic and absurd, but I just think he is a good pick for the long run. Just because he hasn't performed well or hasn't delivered points does not really change my opinion of thinking that he's a good pick, because the numbers are still there. Surely he will deliver at some point soon, is what I'm thinking.
Yep.
And I might be sitting here in game week 20 saying the same thing, but his numbers have been good enough to justify the selection. So I tweeted the other day that Luis Diaz and Bruno had the identical XGI, 3.18. Yet Luis Diaz has scored 51 points and Bruno has 15. So he's been extremely unlucky. Yeah. And I know people will say that he's playing for a terrible team. Liverpool are a much better team. But when you look at XGI, that's not exactly relevant, right? Is it? Because when you're comparing players with players, not teams with teams, right? Bruno's had good chances. He just hasn't finished. He's created chances for teammates who haven't finished.
Yeah.
Diaz has overperformed, and he will eventually revert to the mean as well over the course of the season. So that's my opinion. I still think Eze is a good pick, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to pick him. But I'll definitely have one of the two because overall the idea is that I will have these kind of players to just help me throughout the season without having other headaches, or I can just rotate the premiums and keep these guys as the glue guys, and they can stay there as set and forget picks, 90-minute men on penalties.
Yeah, like I think honestly, I can't believe people are criticizing either of these picks. I don't have either, and I'm probably not going to have either. I think they're both really good options. Like we should. It really frustrates me that so many FPL managers just look at points to date and they don't look at anything more and just go, he's rubbish because he's blanked every week, or no, that player's got more points than him, so he must be better. That's not how FPL works, and there's such a small sample size for 5 weeks to judge a player. Like everyone told me Ollie Watkins was a bad pick because he hadn't scored in game weeks 1 and 2. Yeah, but the data was there. The eye test was there. His pedigree is there. The team he plays for is there. And Eze and Bruno are exactly the same. All those boxes are ticked. Points are going to come. And why do we have to wait until they bang and then buy them the week after? No, the best FPL managers, and those that can really steal a march, are the ones that get on them for the first week they bang. And I can guarantee Bigman's going to own Bruno on that first week he bangs. And I hope you give the big finger to everyone that went through your comment. I mean, I'm so petty. I go through all those comments 3 weeks ago and give the little eyes emoji on every single one. It takes me an hour, but it's just worth it. So yeah, I hope you're there for it, big man. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on. I think, is that all the questions? Was that the last one? Was that the last? Or is there another one of this? Oh, there is. Ooh, yeah. Okay, go on.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at this, we've sort of already touched upon this early on. I think Lewis is probably worth a shout, given what he offers for his price and the upside that he has. Guardiola, if you have the funds, is really good as well. So, for example, if you're picking someone like a Robertson, like someone mentioned earlier, I think Guardiola is a better pick. And Porro, I just think is a good set and forget pick till let's say game week 13 or 14, because the fixtures are really, really good from especially from game week 8 onwards. So even if I don't end up picking Porro right now, I'm planning to bring him in by game week 8 in my team, and I think people should do similar.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, bullish on that one. I like that, big man. You've got loyalties to your Brunos, Ezes, and Porros. Like you've shown that all season, and look, I think they're all very good. Yeah, Gianni showing his petty side to CH, absolutely, and I'm proud of it. Petty and proud. Right, let's have a look at my team then. I think that's what we've got to get through, guys. This is I'm revealing this exclusively. Oh, Semenyo, hang on a second, hang on.
Yeah, we haven't spoken
nailed.
about him.
I'm going to say nailed, and again, that you're not going to see a padlock by his name, but he is nailed for me.
Yeah, he isn't nailed for me, but he's another one I'm strongly considering in my team. His numbers have been great this season. They're more or less on par with most of the other midfielders who are performing well. The next two are as good as they get: Southampton at home, Leicester away. The issue for me, though, is that run between game week 8 and 10, Gianni. So what plan do you have to navigate him? Are we going to rotate him and have 8 playable attackers to sort of rotate him when needed?
Having Semenyo stops me picking a Dibbling or a Harry Winks, any 4.5 option, because I do want to bench him in those weeks. I do want to bench him. So yes, he is a 7th/8th attacker, but for the next two, boy, is the upside there. Bournemouth are going to dominate to a big degree. Bournemouth are going to have convincing wins against Southampton and Leicester, mark my words. Bournemouth have had the 3rd most shots of any team this season so far, and they've had tough games. This is a well-functioning, good attack. And they go toe-to-toe. They're naive. They went to Liverpool and they played. And they clocked 1.5 XG. But they lost the game. And I think
they should have scored
against Spurs. Yeah, exactly. They will go.
Gallagher was outstanding.
Yeah, they have one way of playing, and they're bloody good at it. So when they play the bad teams, we're going to see this Iraola team dominating the bad teams, and we're going to see them playing that way. And we're going to see high XG, high chance creation from the likes of Semenyo, high shot volume from the likes of Semenyo. Southampton and Leicester, you're about to get beaten by Bournemouth. I guarantee that's 6 points for Bournemouth. Like, I'm bullish on it.
Gianni, if I had to ask you, and if you were to guess, Where do you think Bournemouth would be on the XG table so far this season?
Well, I know they're third for attempts, but I know in terms of big chances, they're way down. So I don't know. In terms of total attempts, only Man City and Spurs have higher, because I was looking earlier in the Scout members area. But I'm guessing XG, they're a bit lower. They have Mr. Penn, though. I don't know, they fifth? Sixth?
Yeah, they're fifth. They're fifth for for XG. And when you look at their fixtures that they've had, they've been really tough fixtures.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they've gone to Liverpool. They've played Chelsea. They've played Spurs.
They've played Everton away, which is again a good defense. They've played Forest away, which is again a good defense. They've played Chelsea, Liverpool, and Newcastle. So the fixtures haven't been great. I don't see any amazing, outstanding fixtures so far. They haven't played Spurs. Yeah, that's right. They haven't played Spurs. So these have been the 5 fixtures so far.
They're bloody good. They're good. And look, that is why, let's see my draft. That is why I have a Bournemouth attacking double up. I don't think this is going to stay, guys, because I'd have to bench some Evan Nilsson anyway. Like, I look at this week and I look at all those fixtures and go, oh, Evan Nilsson would be my sub. And if I'm not going to play him in the 2 good games, then there's no point in owning him. So that could go.
Gianni, where's the lock? Where's the lock on Semenyo?
I need to put a lock on Semenyo and I need to put a lock on Savinho. But this graphic was made yesterday and Savinho is now locked after last night. And Semenyo is now locked off the back of our discussion and me looking at some data this morning. So this graphic is actually shows 8 locks, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's actually 10. Because
Saka isn't locked for you?
Saka's not locked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Saka's not locked. Saka's not locked.
That's a huge surprise. Are you considering Palmer by any chance?
I like Palmer and I like Salah still. I could go Salah and DCL instead of Saka and Watkins.
Salah and DCL instead of?
Saka and Watkins.
Saka and Watkins.
And it gives me a bit of spare change. I think I'll go Saka. And I think this could very well be my team on Saturday morning, by the way. Other than Evan Nilsson, I'm not going Evan Nilsson, I don't think.
Yeah, Gianni, I don't think this will change much. I think you'll probably go DCL over Evan Nilsson and the rest will be the same.
I have 0.1. I don't have the 0.1. So I can't go Evan Nilsson DCL. But I could downgrade an Aina to a Mikolenko, you're right.
You could do that. There's also another thing that you need to keep an eye on. So the Everton sub-goalkeeper Virginia is on the cusp of a price drop. So you could sell Fabianski to him. In which case that lock from Fabianski will be unlocked.
Yeah. When we say cusp, though, I haven't checked that today, Virginia. He's 90s. Yeah, he needs according to FPL statistics, he needs 261 managers to sell him. Let's see if that happens. But yeah,
what's the percentage?
96.4.
Yeah, I think we could see him drop Saturday morning. Seems like one of those.
That would be amazing. He's going to be owned in every wildcard team, especially because Bigmans not playing well either.
Yeah, every wildcard team with Raya, basically.
Yeah. Every wildcard team, right? So, guys, let me know in your comments what you think of this team. And Big Man, what do you think? Like, this is. It's funny because it doesn't feel like there's a strict wildcard template. Like, I'm really big on Watkins and Savio, and you're really big on an Eze or a Bruno, for example. It does feel like there's going to be some variety. Trent, splits the pot. Rico Lewis splits the pot. Certainly the budget forwards do too. So yeah, I mean, different to your team, and this will probably be quite different to your team, but still one you like, or any blunders in there for you?
It's a really strong team. I don't think I would change much. I think it's actually the good thing about it is that it seems robust enough to last for a few weeks, at the same time giving you differentials to enjoy chasing rank over the next few weeks. So I really like it. I think Watkins is the only one I would sell to upgrade maybe Evan Nilsson or the defense. But apart from that, it looks really good. I mean, I can't really fault. I even like the Savinho pick. I'm not picking him in my team, but if I was convinced about his minutes, I might go there. He's a really good pick. I like Savinho.
Yeah. I'm convinced he's Pep's number 1 winger at the moment, but we know what Pep's like with wingers. He's slightly ahead of Doku and Grealish in the pecking order. That doesn't mean he's going to start every game, and it does mean he'll get some early subs. So yeah, he's definitely a risky pick. I just feel like with Haaland, like, we all own him, so we don't really massively benefit from Man City goals. And if we think Man City are about to go big, which I think they could, then having another slice of that cake, it's an entry to the Man City front three for 6.5 million. That's kind of how I see it. I also love the fact he moves and looks like Mahrez.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Seems like the second coming of Mahrez.
Exactly. I think I'm just picking him because I'm like, oh, Mahrez was a really good FPL option. And
Yeah, the way he skinned Calafiori the other day was amazing. He absolutely skinned him.
I was looking at his stats from last season in La Liga. 37 games, so he's never injured. He returned in over half of them. 10 goals, 9 assists, or 9 assists, 10 goals. It's not bad considering he's a 19-year-old kid. Like, this is a guy that's already broken into the Brazil team. He's got 2 Brazil caps and he's 20. He's going to be amazing. He's going to be amazing. I don't think the plan for Pep was for him to get all these minutes and to be his number one winger. But the way things have dropped, obviously, happen. Yeah, it could happen. It could happen. And obviously, Oscar Bobb's injury has impacted Savio's minutes. Don't worry about Lewis being a rotation risk, guys. Same as all the Man City defenders. Arguably, Gvardiol will get more minutes and Diaz and Akanji might. But for 4.7, you get an entry to the second best defence in the league. I think he'll miss a couple of games. You've got to make sure you're happy with your fourth defender if you go Lewis as your third. There we go. That's all we've got time for. Guys, thank you so much for watching. On your way out, hit the buttons. If you want to know more about my team, then I am dropping a video on my channel in 1 minute's time where I'm showing that screen grab is from that video where I'm just going through it in a bit more detail. If you have just joined, though, don't go anywhere. Go back and watch the last hour because me and Bigman have had a proper good, comprehensive wildcard update. Bigman, are you around on Friday? Because I think we're doing a slightly later stream on Friday, 7 p.m.
Of course. 3 p.m.
I'm not. Huh?
3 p.m. I think.
No, I think. Oh, it might be. I don't know. I'm not on it, so I'm not 100% sure. I think it's you and Dean, but I thought it was scheduled later. But whatever. Yeah, I'm not around Friday. So guys, I will wish you well, and I will see you next week. But yeah, Big Man Dean back on Friday. Hit the buttons on your way out, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Take care, Gianni.